And she also has worked with our current mayor, Sybil Siddiqui, as a campaign manager in 2017. Welcome, Theo. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being with us. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Theo?
Thank you, John. And also, yeah, is my internet unstable?
Maybe I hope it's not mine. Sometimes I had a problem briefly.
Can you hear me better now? I just switched Wi-Fi.
I can hear you fine.
Oh, great. Okay, so my internet's okay.
Yep. Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah. As you know, Theo, can you hear me? Am I breaking up?
You're fine. You're fine, Theo. Let's get to the questions.
Yeah.
You're fine.
Some of the big issues in our city have to do with the shortage of housing and the crisis of affordability because of the booming economy. And so housing policies are one of the main things that the campaign is dealing with. And bearing in mind that Mid-Cambridge is already a very dense neighborhood with little vacant land, what does your vision and your policies for housing mean for development in our neighborhood in the near future? So Mid-Cambridge, as you know, is between Harvard Central and Inman Squares.
Yeah, and so you're breaking up on my end. If it's me that's breaking up, just let me know and I can hotspot myself, but I'll assume that you guys can hear me okay. And I'll just keep going. So yeah, so a few thoughts there. In terms of housing, my priority is multifaceted. And on my website, votetheo.com/housing-justice, there's a lot of information there as well. So in general, my view is that we're facing a huge housing crisis for a bunch of reasons. One is that we've had multinational corporations investing in Cambridge, driving up rent, displacing residents, and making it difficult for residents to buy homes. We've seen multi-generational displacement, specifically of our lowest income families and our families of color, and in particular, Black families. And I've noticed it as I canvass in neighborhoods like the Port neighborhood, which was one of the most diverse neighborhoods in the region, up until 2019. Since then, it's been majority white. And when I canvassed, I didn't canvass any families of color in the neighborhood. So this gentrification impact that we're seeing in the context of housing is really having the greatest impact on our communities of color. So when it comes to a vision for housing, my priority is affordable housing. And I would like to see more affordable housing because it'll allow us to help bring back families that have been displaced because of rising rents and preserve whatever remains of the diversity that we still have in Cambridge. My other priority when it comes to housing, including in this neighborhood, which is a very diverse one, is efforts to eliminate homelessness. So I've been board chair to the YWCA Cambridge the last 2 years. On the board for 4, we're the largest provider of housing to single women in Cambridge, and we run a 10-family shelter. And I've been working with a group called Project Right to Housing, which is advocating for Cambridge as a housing-first city, with the recognition that housing is a human right and is at the foundation of all opportunities to thrive. We'd love to advocate for permanent non-congregate housing for members of the unhoused community. Homelessness in Cambridge is a choice. We have the financial resources to have no homelessness in Cambridge, and we really shouldn't. And so I would love to replicate the model that we have at the YWCA Cambridge, just north of Central Square, to advocate for more non-congregate housing for our unhoused community members. And then briefly, I know we are short on time here, but my other 2 housing priorities are improving tenants protections, because most of Cambridge rents. So creating a Department of Housing Stability to help renters maneuver complicated issues on housing and create tenants protections like access to free representation legally when facing eviction. And then also creating pathways for permanent affordable homeownership, like expanding the Homebridge program.
Thank you. You have a background in housing, but you also have a background in local business.
In this neighborhood, and then housing in general, but also recognizing. Yes, that's right.
Broke up. Could you talk about local businesses, which your vision for local businesses? And what can we do, for example, about the vacant businesses on Mass Avenue and keeping the ones and other ones in Mid-Cambridge?
Absolutely. So, and my website has a ton of information on this at votetheo.com/local-economy. So I run Cambridge Local First. We're a nonprofit network of local and independent businesses. I also co-founded the Cambridge Somerville Black Business Network last summer, 2020, to empower our Black and brown-owned businesses. I run a national internship program called the Resilient Local Economies Internship Program. I'm on the board of the American Independent Business Alliance. I run the New England Local Economies Coalition, which is a New England area partnership of local first organizations, and my parents, aunts, uncles, and grandparents are all small business owners. So this is an issue I care very deeply about. For familial reasons, I grew up helping work at a restaurant. My family's Greek restaurant. And then also because businesses are such an important part of our character and economic vitality as a city and our unique identity. So I have a lot of ideas for how we can support our local businesses. This includes reducing and eliminating red tape that makes it difficult for businesses to thrive. I've loved the outdoor patios. I think they're a wonderful addition to the city. Increasing the number of contracts that the city of Cambridge has with local businesses, another great idea. For example, the city is contracted with a Dutch company, consultancy, Amsterdam-based, to advise on a circular economy. It's highly ironic because a circular economy is about reinvesting in the economy locally. And yet we've contracted as a city, a lot of money is going to a European company. And it's just funny that a European company is advising us on how to reinvest back in our own economy. So that, I think we should be investing in local businesses and consultancies that can do that work. My vision is a totally regenerative economy. People don't realize, but up until the 1970s, we sourced everything locally. The Industrial Revolution started in Lowell, Massachusetts. So we sourced all of our manufacturing goods locally, and we were an agricultural state, and we sourced all of our foods locally too. With globalization, we've moved toward global supply chains, but as we've seen with the pandemic, those are not resilient, and they're certainly not sustainable. And so I'd love to see us move toward more localized supply chains, which means investing in our local businesses because it's a more resilient and sustainable and fair form of economy. So those are some of my ideas and my vision for supporting local businesses in this neighborhood.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We have to wrap it up.